Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our latest Red Leaf Securities podcast. We are super excited to have the Executive Director of EVE Health, Dr. Stuart Gunzburg. Now, the reason why we're excited, Red Leaf was fortunate enough to raise money for EVE Health, down at 2 cents. Now it's up 50% in a very short space of time, less than a month. And in my personal humble opinion, Stuart has a lot of reason behind that great success. So, Stuart, how are you?
I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm good, Doctor. Now, tell me a little bit about yourself for the viewers out there.
Yeah, I'm a PhD scientist, studied at University of Western Australia, spent a few years overseas doing postdocs, and for my sins, I was actually a stockbroker for about a decade and then got back onto the bench, and I've spent about 7 or 8 years developing a few of these products that we're now developing through EVE.
So you sit on both sides of the EVE board, like on the science and the commercial reality.
Yes.
Which product out of the whole plethora that EVE has excites you the most?
Yeah, well, the one that we do have a erectile dysfunction drug that we're currently developing. It's called Libbo, and that's an oral dissolvable film. So you just place it in your mouth. It's quick to act. It's easy to take. And from that point, we're developing a number of different products, including a spray, which has sort of breath freshening activity. So both of these products do freshen the breath. They're discreet, they're easy to take. And the best thing about them is that they work in about 10 to 15 minutes rather than the typical hour it takes when you take a tablet. So they're the ones that excite me and excite other people more than just one way.
Now, right now, you guys have a telehealth strategy. Is that the way we go about of getting the product?
Currently, the product is available through what is known as SASB, which is primarily a telehealth sort of directive. Or the way that you get it is go through an online prescriber. But we're actually getting we have to go through a bit of further testing, and we're going to register it with the TGA, which would lead to the product being listed on what is known as the ARTG, the Australian Register of Therapeutic Goods, and that means it'll be available in all pharmacies across Australia, and it'll allow us to go through our export strategy overseas as well. So we've had significant interest from people overseas who want to take on our product. But primarily it is available through online methods. And I must remind people that probably about 40 to 50% of erectile dysfunction drugs are prescribed online at the moment. So it's not an insignificant market there. But we do want to get listed in all the pharmacies later on in this year.
So, for the viewers out there, how would they go about getting this product? So what's the website?
Yeah, so there's a website that we have specifically set up that will be able to provide you with advice as to how to go through the whether you require a treatment for erectile dysfunction, and then direct you towards the areas where you can actually get an online prescription for that.
So, in terms of the two primary products that we're discussing today, which one is the bigger market and how do we get product credibility?
It's hard to say which is the bigger market. Probably the market that isn't being spoken enough about is the treatment for dysmenorrhea, which is painful period for women. So that's a underserved market that's definitely been ignored. Typically, the way that you treat dysmenorrhea is maybe take some Nurofen or Panadol, get a bucket of ice cream, sit in front of Netflix with a blanket on. And that's been the typical method of treatment, and it's just insufficient for women nowadays. You can't take off time off work because you've got period pain, and it does affect women's outcomes as far as employment is concerned. So we've developed a cannabinoid product. It has no psychoactive ingredients in it, and it does reduce the primary causes of dysmenorrhea, which are cramping, pain, and basically inflammation. So this is a product that is also provided through SASB, and women can go online and have it prescribed. And from what we're seeing, it's been really well received and provides some significant relief to those symptoms associated with painful periods. That market is very big, and it has not really been quantitated correctly. So we think that's a huge market. Erectile dysfunction is a growing market. We're all living more sedentary lives, things that affect our health, affect erectile dysfunction, and it's an aging disease. So there's around about 30% of people or 30% of men by the time they're 40 have erectile dysfunction, and that just increases with age. So when you're around about 70 years of age, about 70 to 80% of men suffer from erectile dysfunction at one particular time. And the drugs we have to treat it just aren't really all that great. An hour, imagine trying to plan to have sex in an hour, and the dean was, yeah, exactly. And it's a 60 or 70% chance that the drug actually is effective. So we know that what we're actually supplying works in 15 minutes and is a lot more effective. So just the psychological effect of taking a drug and it not actually working is enough to put you off sex for quite a while. So we want to avoid that issue by making it more effective and more efficient.
So right now, with those two products, is execution risk in terms of getting TGA approval. Would that be correct?
That's the only risk that we have. So unlike any other biotech company which has to go through phase clinical trials, which, there are 3 phases that you go through. Phase clinical trial, they increase in price. The phase 3s are $500,000 to $1 billion. We don't have to go through that. We know the products that we're using, the active ingredients, have been proven to be effective in the treatment of these issues. So what we have to do now is, with the spray, we need to show that 4 sprays is equivalent to 1 tablet. And once we can do that, then we go to the TGA and get it passed through for TGA approval. So that is the primary risk, is the TGA approval.
So as I mentioned earlier, Redleaf has participated in the last capital raise. Our clients are obviously very happy. They're up 50%. What's the investment case now? Like, where do you think the company could go to? Will EV look like in 6 months or 1 year's time?
Well, in 1 year's time, we would have a lot of information regarding our dysmenorrhea product, and that will provide us with basis for further prescribing by medical professionals. As far as the erectile dysfunction, we would have completed our bioequivalent study and progressing through TGA approval. And once we get TGA approval, then the upside is significant. Along the way, we will be looking for approval for export of the erectile dysfunction drugs, and we have had discussions with overseas organisations and companies who are interested in looking at taking on the erectile dysfunction drug. So it looks very exciting. And the best thing about it is the simplicity of production. We have identified the manufacturers who can make the products. They can do it really effectively and cheaply. And we know that the market overseas is very attractive. So the cost of these drugs in the overseas markets, maybe around $10 US a dose. And we know that our manufacturing costs are minuscule compared to that. So it does provide us with the ability to gain a significant margin on the product and also compete really effectively with those products overseas.
Doctor, thanks for coming on to our podcast. It's been a very interesting chatting with you. We see a lot of potential upside in EV, even though it's run up already. Compared to its peers out there, I think it's significantly cheaper. Thanks for coming on board, Doctor.
Thanks a lot, John.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
See ya.